Hello everyone, welcome to Rowan. I'm Kerry Kimber and I'm here with Lisa Richardson, senior designer at Rowan, who has designed a beautiful blanket for us to knit together as a knit-along, sometimes known as a cowl. So Lisa, do you want to start by telling us a little bit about what a cowl is, what cowl stands for?
Yeah, a cowl can be a knit-along or a crochet-along, and it's a great way for knitters to join together as part of a community and all knit the same project. In this case, there are 8 pattern releases and you'll get one every 2 weeks. And with each release, you'll get a downloadable pattern and a video tutorial. As you're going along with the cowl, you'll be doing different panels and then working out and creating the next one from it, so you don't have much sewing up at the end.
So in this introductory video, we're going to talk to Lisa to find out her thoughts behind this design, to find out what's inspired her and why she's chosen to use the particular techniques that she has and what she loves so much about using Rowan Felted Tweed for this kind of project. We'll give you a shopping list that you'll be able to download as a PDF from knitrowan.com so that you can gather all the things that you're going to need in advance of starting the project. So Lisa, tell us about the blanket.
Okay, so the main aim for the blanket was to create something that had like an organic feel to it as you're making it, something that you can start a small square and then the next release you'll grow from it. And I think this organic approach to how I wanted this to work was because I was spending so much time outside planting trees in nature, where nothing is linear, everything grows organically. And that has influenced and had inspiration on this as I was creating it, and also on the stitches that I've used as well, the different kind of shapes and things that are used on these. There isn't anything that's too complicated in here either, and it's a great way for somebody who's got some basic knitting ability to grow on that week on week with the tutorials that are available, starting with plain garter stitch squares and learning a little bit of lace and some slip stitch work at the same time.
Yeah, this is a really nice project. If you know the basics, you can cast on, you can knit, you can purl and you can cast off. And so it's great for building up your techniques and your skill set, isn't it? Who else do you think is going to enjoy this?
I would hope that all knitters would enjoy it. Somebody who's more experienced, you're going to be able to each week do something different. You're going to work with more colour than maybe you're used to. Maybe just try a different technique that you might be great with colour work, but you might never have tried working from a chart. And with these tutorials, you'll be shown step by step how to do that. And also because you are growing a project and seeing how it fits together, it's quite exciting every week to see how the next panel will fit in with the ones that you've already done. I also think it'd be quite nice for a group of people to join together and actually work it, because then you can give it to somebody. You could work it as a family and then give it to somebody that you love at the same time.
Yeah, and I think the other thing about this is that it's a piece that's going to last through the generations.
Yeah.
So you could actually hand this down as a family heirloom. It's that sort of project, isn't it?
Yeah, and because it's using felted tweed, it is great for that, because you can wash it, you can have it on the back of your sofa for years, and you can keep using it and keep loving it.
We've got lace, cables, colour work, mitered squares, knitting in the round. There's a lot to get stuck into.
There is.
But let's talk about construction, because there are a couple of options, aren't there?
There are, yeah. So as you're creating the blanket, you start off with these mitered squares in the centre here. And even these, you do a couple and then you'll pick up stitches to create the third and fourth. If you've never done picking up stitches or anything before, there's going to be video tutorials for that. And then week on week, you'll be building out from this. So the next week, you'll be creating the lace and you'll be picking up stitches and working out from there. If you don't want to take something round that's so big as this, if you want to do each square separately, you can do that. You can just create them individually and then sew them up together afterwards.
One of the things that I love about this project is you get to use every colour right from the very first week.
Yeah, it's always fun to use a little bit of colour straight away, and it's nice to be able to see how the colours interact with one another as well. So it basically means that you can go out and you can buy one of each shade and you can start with the project, and then as you progress week on week you can then get more yarn as you need it.
I recommend when you first get your balls of wool that you make yourself a little shade card, a homemade shade card with the letters down the side, because in the patterns the colours will be referred to by a letter of the alphabet. So once the ball bands are off, you're really likely to forget which is which. So make a shade card. This is also quite helpful if you want to substitute some colours. You can experiment and see what goes with what.
So the dimensions for the blanket that I've given are dependent on the tension or gauge that you achieve. If you are too loose, the blanket will end up larger, and if you are too tight, it'll end up a lot smaller.
Okay, so yeah, just to clarify, tension refers to how many stitches you knit in 10 centimetres. And this is given at the start of every pattern. So depending on which technique is used in the pattern, that will have an impact on the stitch count and the tension. So test it out at the beginning. When you first start, you can do a swatch using stocking stitch with the felted tweed in 4mm needles. And for that, I think you should get 22 stitches in 10 centimetres. So knit yourself a square that's bigger than 10 centimetres, that's definitely going to be bigger than that. And then take a tape measure and count how many stitches you've got in 10 centimetres to check that your tension is accurate. If you find that you're knitting too loosely, you're going to need to use a smaller needle. If you're knitting too tightly, you're going to need a bigger needle, and you might just need to do a little bit of experimenting to make sure that you get it right. But once you've got going, you probably don't need to test your tension with every single every single technique immediately.
I wouldn't do a tension square for everyone, but I would check it as I'm going along, just because somebody who can achieve tension on a lace panel might be a lot tighter on a slip stitch panel, maybe because they're not used to doing that technique, or maybe they're just a little bit tighter when they're doing that technique. So I would always do a little bit and just check it, either as you're going along or a square. Maybe for the slip stitch ones, it might be quite nice to do a smaller one just because they're a lot wider. But anything that's kind of 15 or 30 centimetres, I would just cast on and see how you go.
Maybe you haven't tried some of these techniques before, and this is where Lisa's video tutorials are going to come in very handy, because she's going to take you through step by step so that you can be sure of knitting success.
Yes, the first release will be these mitered garter stitch squares. So the video tutorial for that will be the knitting and decreasing. So all you've got on week 1 is some simple knit stitches and a little bit decreasing. So it's great for people who are just starting out in the project. But as you're using all the shades, it's also quite fun for everybody to get going and get used to using all the different shades.
Patterns will be released every 2 weeks, starting with the garter stitch mitered square on Friday the 3rd of April, and then 2 weeks later there will be another one for you to download. You can download all the patterns as PDFs from knitrowan.com. And we would love to see your works in progress. So do take photographs and put them onto social media so that we can see what you're up to. This is a knit along after all. It's all about knitting together as a community, and we would really love you to join in.